Whew. Welcome back to Ivy Unleashed. We are so happy you're listening, and we are so happy our guest is here today. It is an absolute miracle that this person is walking on this earth, that she's with her family, that she's able to continue to shed light in the world, because that almost wasn't the case. We want to welcome Briana Dai to Ivy Unleashed. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you both for having me here. I'm so excited.
I can't believe you're sitting there. So a little backstory, and the reason why Brooke and I are going to be emotional is because Briana means a lot to us, and we've only met her once, but just being a follower of hers and her parents and just the messages they spread and help business owners everywhere has really been something that's shed light in our life. Before Briana had a near-death experience, and we were following her, and all of a sudden there was no content. There were no reels. There was nothing. And I messaged Brooke one day and I said, I know I hardly know Bri, but I feel like I should message her. She hasn't posted anything since April 11th. And it was like 2 weeks later. So then I messaged Briana and I said, hey, random. I know this might be weird, but I'm just checking in on you. And so, Bri, we would love for you to walk our listeners through April 11th and your story of that day and get us somehow to where you are today.
Yeah. Yeah. April 11th. What a day. I really don't have any memory of the day. I have some because I filmed a portion of the day up until the moment that everything changed forever. But I went to a med spa. Just went to a med spa. Just gonna treat myself, little me day, get some Botox, get some treatments done, get a hydrofacial. And one of them in particular required lidocaine on my abdomen. And I have had lidocaine before. I don't have allergies to lidocaine, but this time was different. And I went into toxic, like a lidocaine toxicity, lidocaine shock, which it's unclear whether that was because it went into my bloodstream or it was an overdosage of it. But in either case, it caused my body to start to seize. I had 7 seizures. I went into a full cardiac arrest, and I had no pulse for 45 minutes. And so when you lose oxygen to your brain for 45 minutes, you it's amazing how much you have to relearn. When I woke up one day in the hospital. I had no idea how I got there. I woke up to my husband sitting over me, and I looked at him and I was just like, what happened? And he said, you went to uh, the med spa. And I was like, no, that was months ago. I was so confused. I didn't understand where I was or what happened. I was just in denial. Um, and what happened after that became really clear. I had no control of my body. I had no motion of my body. I couldn't move my arms. I couldn't move my legs. I was paralyzed. My language was super slurry. I had very poor ability to dictate my words. Um, I had to literally relearn how to speak, how to write, how to walk. Um, and I embarked on a several week, turned into over a month-long recovery journey to be able to walk again, to speak again, to write again, which my writing still will probably never be the same. Thank God for typing because, whoo, Lord, it is not cute. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. And I'm just really grateful that God has restored me not only at the pace that He did, but at the level because it truly is from the doctor's mouth a miracle. It was a 1%. I'm a 1% miracle that I was able to recover at the level that I have. There's no medical explanation for it other than God. So glory to Him. So grateful. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit of the story of what happened from April 11th onward.
Miracles happen, baby. Oh, that is terrifying and inspiring and all of the things. I think about 45 minutes. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And what is normal for someone to, for the paramedics to revive? Because I know they went above and beyond. Will you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. The EMTs that came to perform a CPR, they're trained to go a maximum of 30 minutes. So for them to go 45 minutes is not normal. It is above average for sure. I had the opportunity to meet them, which was a really emotional day. I got to meet all of the first responders, from the person who received the phone call, the dispatcher, to the police officer, to the fire department, and the EMTs that performed the CPR. And they even told me they couldn't immediately perform CPR when they arrived on the scene because I was actively seizing. So they had to shock my heart multiple times to get it into a rhythm to be able to even perform CPR, because it was basically like spazzing when you're in a seizure like that. So, yeah, 30 minutes is what they're trained to do. And I asked them why they continued, and they said, you're you're young, you're healthy. There was clearly no reason why this should be happening to you. And they just felt this calling to continue. And I'm so grateful that they didn't quit. Because had they, I wouldn't be here to tell the story. And so those EMTs are earth angels. They really do make miracles happen. And I'll never be able to express my gratitude to them, because I genuinely wouldn't be here if it weren't for them.
That's so cool. You got to meet them and see their faces and thank them, because they're doing that all day long with people. And
It's not always a happy
it's
ending.
not, yeah. And just the trauma they probably go through. And, I'm sure they were like, oh, I hope, like, I bet it was such a huge day for them going home and being like, wow, this woman in her 30s, a mother, a wife, a daughter, we were only supposed to, 30 minutes, but for some reason we felt that. And like, it probably changed their life too, the trajectory of their life. And I'm so curious about this procedure. And I know from watching some of your mom's content that looking at the treatment and how it went down, like, did you ever find out what went wrong and like why the lidocaine exposure was so high, or what happened, what went wrong there?
That's a question that I don't know if legally I'm supposed to answer.
Fair.
I don't know that it's even really truly clear what, like, the exposure or the amount, or why that amount was used. I know that from the footage, the syringe seemed to be rather large, according to the medical professionals that saw the footage of the procedure after the fact. I was actually recording this in, like, for a collaboration. I was paying for the procedure, but I was going to be sharing it. They were former clients, and these are people that I, had so much trust in. They had been to my daughter's birthdays. Like, I'd done branding for them. Like, I really love these people. So it's really unfortunate that this has happened. But it is kind of also a learning curve, because I think if we get a certain level of comfort, we stop asking questions and we abdicate our health in people's hands, not realizing it could cost us everything. And so for me, even going through my recovery, I was like, so what pill are you having me take? Like, when I got to the point that I could communicate and then I could ask these questions, it's forever made me so much more curious about why. Why are we doing this? Why is this the amount? Why are you giving me this pill? Why do I need to take it? What's it going to fix? What are the potential risks of taking this? Because if you trust somebody, you oftentimes just don't even ask the question. And in my case, it almost cost me my life not asking the question. And so, it really just is so important to be your own advocate in your health, because if you don't ask the question, you'll never have the answer.
Such a great point. So what was this whole recovery process? Take us from you wake up in the hospital to now you're back at work.
Yeah.
That is incredible. What did those months look like for you?
I went through a lot of therapy. I had the hospital therapy. Then ultimately, once the hospital got me to good enough of a place, I moved to an inpatient therapy facility, which was really great. And we worked a lot on my physical therapy and my mental therapy. What was so interesting is that my physical body recovered so much faster than my mind did. And I don't know about you, but I've lost all of my grandparents, and I've lost them in different ways. I lost my uh, grandmother and my grandfather on my dad's side to dementia. So they were physically very capable, but they lost their minds. Whereas my Grammy, she was sharp as a tack till the day that she died. But she lost her body and she died of kidney failure. And so I feel like I've always asked the question, I don't know if I'd rather lose my mind or my
Mhm.
body, but I have to say, having lost my mind for a while and not having any memory is so scary. To
Mhm.
have physical control of your body, but not be able to remember the morning of, remember who visited you that day, remember what you ate for breakfast, remember what therapies you had. That took a long time for me to recover. And my short-term memory is still something to this day that I struggle with, that I have tons of notebooks and things in place to help kind of counteract, the memory issues. Because if I don't write it down, if I don't take a note of it, the likelihood of me remembering is very
Mhm.
low. And so that's a long-term effect that this has had on me. But I went from inpatient therapy to graduating inpatient therapy so I could go home. And then I started outpatient therapy. So I would have a driver take me from my home to outpatient therapy. It was basically a full-time job. I went there
Mhm.
from 9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. It was about an hour away from my home. So I would get home around 3 o'clock and have maybe an hour and a half before my daughter got home. And so it allowed me to kind of acclimate slowly to getting back to myself, getting back to my routine, getting back into being a mom and providing for her, which was sadly such a challenge because just even coming home and having to mentally think about, okay, what are the steps to taking a shower?
Mhm.
What are the steps to doing the dishes? What are the steps that Tati and I used to do for bedtime routine? And it comes back quickly, but it is humbling
Mhm.
when something that used to be so second nature to you is all of a sudden so much more challenging.
Mhm.
And that is probably the thing that has forever altered my outlook on life is that I never take anything for granted because all of these little second nature things like reading a bedtime story, brushing your teeth, washing your hair, things that you just do without just no regard to like this is just me living life, it can suddenly become shockingly difficult to
Mhm.
do. And so everything I just hold so dear now because when you've lost it and you know that
Mhm.
you've lost it and you have to recuperate it,
Yeah.
it is it's it's humbling. That's the word I
Mhm.
keep using, but
Mhm.
that's the word that comes to mind. It's humbling, and it definitely gets you in touch with another level of gratitude that you
Mhm.
didn't even know existed.
Yeah. Especially when you're forced to slow down. I keep thinking like
Yeah.
such a stark contrast of how you were before the accident when we met you and then seeing you on social pounding out content, being this mighty woman. You still are, do not get me wrong. But you do videos of late at night, you and Pri making videos when Tati's in bed and just the go, go, go hustle and the grind
Mhm.
to not having a choice. Like your body
Yeah.
needed you to rest. What
Oh
was
yeah.
that like? And how has your mindset changed now to, okay, I can only go so fast?
Yeah, I still have a crazy drive, and I think that that is why I've been able to recover at the
Mm-hmm.
pace and the rate that I have. Because even though the grind looks different, the grind is still there. And right now, it's been a grind of just getting back to the level mentally that I was prior to the accident. Um, I'm not up until midnight creating content on a weekly basis anymore because my brain and my body needs to rest. And that is actually what, and that's an aha, I think, for all entrepreneurs, regardless of whether you've gone through any brain trauma or not. Resting is part of the grind.
Mm-hmm.
And we oftentimes totally devalue the power and the importance of rest. But our bodies need it to be able to perform at the peak level. And so for me, resting has become a non-negotiable for me to be able to perform at the peak level. And it's definitely become a non-negotiable for me in terms of my recovery journey and my brain's development and getting all of that back. But I don't want to say that I miss the pace that I was going at. It's just my priorities have shifted. The things that matter to me have shifted. I'm not in such a rush
Mm-hmm.
now. I used to feel a rush to succeed. Like you know, was wanting to be Forbes 30 under 30. Now I'm 33. So that's not going to happen, right? So now it's like, okay, so what's the next? And I was just in this constant rush to reach the next goal and reach the next benchmark. And don't get me wrong, I still have crazy dreams and aspirations. However, I just kind of trust God's timing more now. And I know that it's going to happen for me when it's supposed to, as long as I never give up.
Mm.
And that's, I think, the most important thing is we can never give up whatever it is that we want to achieve in life. It's possible for us. The only ones who won't make it are the ones who quit. It doesn't matter how fast you go, as long as you don't stop the race.
Yeah, and the pace that you're on is clearly working for you. You are back in front of the camera and delivering powerful messages. And I think it just speaks to listening to your body and what it needs. And what I'm curious about is like within this process, I'm putting myself in your shoes as a mother and a wife and needing help with these things. Like you said, to take for granted makes me emotional because bedtime is a sacred time and it's so personal. And you have these routines that mean the world. And if you can't remember them, I'm just like, my heart breaks for you and you're back in it now. But I'm curious about when you can't remember things or you couldn't remember things and your husband, like, was it easy for you to ask for help? Was he reminding you? Like, how did you kind of lean on other people to get you back into these routines that now you do remember and now you can keep going?
Yeah, my support system is everything. My husband was a saint through this entire experience. Like, I loved him before, obviously, but the love that I have for that man now, like, is just off the charts because we've never been through such a low and such a scary time. And so the patience that he had through this process was truly like, ladies, like, don't be in a rush to find a man. Like, wait till you find yourself a Travis because that is the benchmark right there. Like, when you are your ugliest and you have nothing to offer the relationship, and they still show up for you 100%. That is love. And it truly does define for better or worse because, oof, it was the worst it could be. So I had the support of my husband, my family, my in-laws, my father-in-law. He had a lot of flexibility because he was kind of transitioning into retirement. And that man stayed with me at my inpatient therapy, even if he was just on his computer and we weren't talking, but just having his presence there was like so comforting because it got to a point my husband didn't leave my side, but eventually, after a few weeks, like our daughter needs one of us, so it made sense for him to go and come back and visit me regularly, of course. But my father-in-law is the one that really had the flexibility to stay with me and not leave me alone. And I'm so grateful for that because in the moments that I didn't have him there, that loneliness, it was so easy to get into your head and to get into a dark space. And so just leaning on the presence of people, even if you weren't in conversation with them, just it was so comforting to not feel so alone in what I was going through. Right. And obviously, with the forgetfulness, being reminded, people being very patient and not making me feel bad about it, but just reminding me of things. But I quickly learned I needed to note things as they were happening. And it got to a point where when I was in outpatient therapy, during our lunch break, I would journal what I did that morning to remember what I did that morning. And it was hard for me to recall what I had done that morning, like what sessions I had. Did I have PT? Did I have uh, occupational therapy? Did I have speech therapy? Which of the three did I have this morning, right? And it was hard to recall, but I had to journal it to even try. And there were days that I couldn't even remember all three of the therapies I had before lunch. And then it got to the point where I could remember the morning, right, very easily, and then getting through the day. Can I remember the whole day, right? And then it would get to the point where it's like, okay, can I remember what I did the day before? No memory whatsoever, right? And so it's interesting to even track my own progress with the exercises and the processes I put in place for myself to help with my memory recall. That's, I think, the scariest part is having lost two grandparents to dementia. Just it really has unlocked another level of empathy for people who struggle with memory loss because I don't have dementia. However, I've definitely experienced the frustration of being told, I already told you this. We already had this conversation. And I'm like, no, we didn't. Yes, we did. But no, we didn't. But yes, we did. So it's like there's that piece of it that's really hard.
I think my mom's going to be happy you brought that up because I need more compassion. I'm like, Mom, we We talked about this already. We talked about it. She's like, I know, but I can't remember. So just stop saying that. So thank you. It's a good reminder.
Yeah, it's empathy and patience on both sides. This is what this experience has taught me. Empathy towards myself, the empathy that I've received from my family. We've all, I think our patience meter has all increased as a result of this experience because things move a little bit slower, and that's okay. It's just part of the journey. And then I'll get back, but it's journey, it's long haul.
Yeah.
Well, and you're just evidence to that when your drive and the will, that neuroplasticity is real. You can train your brain. Like the brain is fascinating, but your level of drive and will to make that happen, to bring your memory back, that's powerful. And then the support around that to make it happen and to foster that environment where you could do that. You could pour into these therapies and all of the things you've done.
Yeah, I will say there's a few things that are not talked about that I believe are just game changers. And I wish we lived in a world where insurance would cover more of these elective therapies because there were two therapies that I did in particular that aren't covered by insurance that I'm so grateful I had the means to be able to do. But dang, they're expensive without the help of insurance. And they're not covered. One of them was stem cell exosome therapy. I had 2 stem cell exosome injections, which I noticed that was the moment that those were like the catalyst to me of like, oh man, I feel like myself again. Like I can work again. Like this, I feel competent again. It was a huge needle mover, and I feel like more people need to know about them. I feel like more of us need to raise our voices about making these treatments more readily available and more affordable for people that go through things like this. That and HBOC, hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy. Oh my God. It's like a crazy, for lack of better words, like a coffin, like a tube that you lay in. And it's kind of unsettling, but the top of it's glass, so you can see through it. So you're not like enclosed in there. And you go in there and it's just this like pressurized pure oxygen that just, I don't even understand the psychology of it, but I did it 3 times a week for like 6 weeks.
Wow.
And I feel like it completely, in addition to therapy, transformed my recovery journey. And those are the extra electives that I think really changed the trajectory of the speed of my recovery, because that's the thing that most people are the most shocked about when they see the person that was in the hospital that couldn't feed themselves, that would try to bring a fork to their mouth and straight up miss it and get it on the pillow behind them, the person that couldn't walk by themselves, the person that couldn't use the bathroom by themselves, that fell on the floor trying to go to the bathroom by themselves and then got themselves stuck on alarm bed rest for the rest of their therapy. So when you look back at that, just 4 months ago, it feels like that should have been a year ago, but it was such a compressed amount of time. And those electives, I think, really were the needle movers and the things that were different than what most people probably have access to. And so it's like a personal mission of mine to make these things more known and more accessible. And I don't know how to do that, but it's one thing I definitely am committed to taking on in this lifetime, is just making these extra elective therapies affordable and accessible for people because
Well, we can have them on as guests, like experts on those topics, and to talk about it, because I'm super intrigued. And like you said, the more people talk about it, the more it could become the norm to need them and have some policies
more
around
voices,
it. Yeah. I really want to go back though, Briana. I am so curious about these moments of near death I've heard you talk about it, but I would love for you to talk about your Grammy and just what you feel like supernaturally helped you be here today.
Oh, it's gonna make me cry.
That's okay.
Oh man.
We're already with you crying.
I didn't bring my amount of tissues. I have no memory of the day. I have no memory of seizing. I really don't have memory of the procedure at all, except for the fact that I filmed it. So I've seen some of it since then, which is crazy to watch. But actual true memories I don't have. But there was one memory, and I'm not even sure where it happened. I'm not sure if it happened on the helicopter, if it was in ICU once I got to the hospital. All I know is I presume it happened when I didn't have a heartbeat. And I just remember I didn't see her face, but it was like I could see my hand and I felt my Grammy's hand on my hand, and she had the most distinctive hands. She had arthritis, and they were super soft, but they had like she had a very distinct feel to her hand, and I felt her hand, and I heard her voice, and all she said to me is "not yet," and it wasn't my time yet, and I just know. I know that she was talking to God on the other side. She said to him, "This is not her time yet. She's not ready to be here yet. She has more that she has to do. And she has a little girl who needs her, a family who needs her, a community who needs her, and it's not her time." And I know that she was having strong words with that man in heaven and telling him, "No, not yet, not her time yet." And I distinctly remember her voice and her hand on my hand. And just that's all I heard her say was "not yet." And that's all I remember. I have no other memory of the other side. I didn't see a white light. Um, and I don't know even where my hand was. I think it was on the side of my body, but I know that I what I felt and I know what I heard. And I could almost visualize her hand on mine. Uh, and it is quite extraordinary to know that there are angels on the other side that are watching over us, because you think you know that and you feel it. And there's little things, little signs that you might encounter if you've ever lost a loved one in different ways that they'll show up for you. Um, that was definitely the most powerful one I've ever experienced. And it's so comforting to know that we're not alone.
Wow. Incredible. Incredible and comforting.
Thank you for sharing those moments. I mean, what is more powerful than that? I mean, I feel that I'm never alone, but to have the confirmation of someone that's really experienced it and is here, and it's such a miracle. I mean, your story it's out of this world that you're here with 7 seizures and everything you went through. And I don't know how I feel about you having videos of that. I bet that's pretty hard to watch. But also, you have them for a reason, right? Like, hopefully this doesn't happen again to somebody else. And I keep thinking about your parents, and I'm curious which parent that's their mother.
My mom was mom.
Yeah. What's it like for her to hear that her mom brought you back?
Yeah. It's we've all had a very profound connection to my Grammy since she's passed. We've all had our own share of little things and ways in which we've felt her come to kind of visit us in a way. Um, and so it really wasn't a surprise to my mom. She kind of almost expected it. I think it was even a prayer that she had, like, "Okay, mom, like, now's your time to pull your strings up there. We need advocates up there. This can't be happening." you know. So I know it was moving to her when I recalled that story and could share it, but I think at the same time it almost was to be expected, because we're so connected to her, and this just solidified that connection even deeper.
I'm also not surprised it's her mom because of the E-Women Network. Like, you are powerhouse women that lead women. A woman who gave birth to your mom, who gave birth to you, who gave birth to Tati. I mean, your family is full of strong, powerful women. She talked to God and made things happen. Like, just speaks to your business, and that, even when you're not walking on this earth, that you leave a legacy, that you have power, that you can be there for people. I feel like that's so comforting.
Do you feel like your legacy has changed, or just knowing what you're doing in, within eWomen Network, how you want to do things differently now with what's happened?
I don't know that my legacy has changed, but I will say this is interesting. I've never put words to this. This is the first time, so it'll probably be messy and maybe not come out right. Maybe potentially, I don't know if it'll offend people, but here we are. We're just doing it. So
We love
I
it.
think that when I came into Human Network, it was an established company. It was
Mhm.
about 17 years in when I joined the firm. And so uh, I think it was really easy for people, and I don't want to put this energy on people. However, I think it was very easy for people to look at me and think, oh, this has been handed to
Mm.
her. She didn't really earn it. It was given to her. Her right to be on the stage, her right to share this knowledge. Like this is just like something that she was born into. And I feel like going through a near-death experience and coming back and doing this kind of squashes all of that. So I do feel like it's almost in a really weird way kind of qualified me more
Mhm.
for my destiny because you can't say now that I've been handed everything on a
Mhm.
silver spoon because I had my life taken away from me and I had to relearn how to do literally everything. So it's something that I think has like is God's way of kind of qualifying me for this next chapter in a weird way, in a very dark way. I don't know if that even sounds right, but it is kind of what I have felt just in the way that our audience responds to me now as a speaker and my message because of what I've been through. I feel that it's listened to with a much closer ear because they know, oh, this girl's a fighter,
Mhm.
and it wasn't all just given to her. It actually might have been, but it was then all taken away. He giveth and he taketh away. And coming back from that was a huge, huge challenge. And now we're here. And I have a message and you better listen to it.
She's got some serious street cred.
Well, and
Yes,
when I think
exactly.
of legacy too, I think of from the deepest place how you lived your life and where you lived from, right? And I think nothing can give you a fuller life than having this experience and truly understanding how easy it can be taken away. The fact that you take nothing for granted anymore, the way that you're going to pour in your business like you did before, but now it's like even going to be more intentional. Like this time, I'm doing this because I love this and I'm here because I have a
Yeah.
mission and
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
going to shy away from that mission. And I can feel it in what you're saying now. And I can't even believe it's been since April 11th that this happened because the way that you speak and
Mhm.
it might feel slow or whatever to you. It does not seem that way at all. Like, do you have any insecurities now getting in front of the camera or do you feel like you're back to your confident self?
Um, at first, I definitely had insecurities about it. I would notice things like my words were slurry, like they weren't as sharp as they were. And so it's really forced me to speak more slowly.
Mhm.
But now I feel like it's kind of my new normal. So I don't feel it so much anymore because it's a muscle that I've worked so much because I did hop back onto the camera, back into creating content as soon as I was really able to do so. And so I feel like I've worked it so much at just getting comfortable with it that I don't
Mhm.
even notice the difference anymore. It's just kind of who I am now. But at the beginning, I for sure had a lot of insecurity about it. I had a lot of insecurity about my words slurring. And I do feel like that's gone away now that I've, again, worked the muscle. It's just something you have to continue to always work at. But I felt my words were a lot softer. They would just slur together. I felt like I sounded like a drunk person when I first came home. And I do feel like that's kind of gone away. So I was insecure at first, but now it's really just like, no, this is me. This is who I
Mhm.
am,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm here to shake things up. So let's let's speak, regardless of how it comes out, the pace or the slurriness.
Yeah.
I will say what I'm noticing is a very calm energy
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
not I don't have to prove I'm going to talk on my own time with what I need to say, think about what I'm going to say, and have some damn good things to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like you have a very captivating, calm energy around you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so, my mom said that to me. She's like, I've noticed a shift in your energy. And
Mm-hmm.
I, yeah, it's interesting because I don't think you can go through something like this and not change
Mm-hmm.
fundamentally as a person. And this has definitely fundamentally changed me. So, um, in some ways, I'm grateful. I think I like her better. But it is interesting to for others to observe the shift
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because I'm aware of it internally, but to know that it comes across to others is interesting to hear for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Well, we love her and we want more people to know. I mean, we've talked about eWomen Network, but we would love for you to talk about what that is, what you do. I mean, we have a lot of women that listen that are not entrepreneurs, that are moms, that are entrepreneurs. And so, what could they get from tapping into following eWomen Network, from following you? Like, can you tell them about your business and kind of what you're trying to do and your mission with eWomen Network?
Oh my God, Human Network is amazing. If you don't have a community of women entrepreneurs around you, cheering you on, giving you the tools, the resources to be able to take your business to the next level, what are you even doing if you're not in Human Network? That's what I want to know. Human Network is a community of over 500,000 women entrepreneurs all over the world. We have chapters all over the US, chapters all over Canada. We have chapters in the UK, chapters in Australia of women gathering monthly, both in person and also virtually online to grow their business. Our CEO Plus membership, especially, is our newest level of membership where every single Monday morning we're showing up here on Zoom and we are pouring into you exactly the things that we're focused on running a multi seven figure business so that you can also adopt those same behaviors and those same patterns into yours. Our mission is really clear. We want to help 1 million women each achieve $1 million in annual revenue. Less than 1% of women entrepreneurs do that. And so we we really on a mission to change that statistic. And I think that we have an amazing community, an amazing program, an amazing thought leaders, my mom to help you do that. And I'm really honored to be a part of it.
Wow. That's amazing. And it is so needed. You know, whether you're in the entrepreneurship community or any other community, like if I've heard a message from the story is like, you're not alone. And if you feel alone, find a way to not feel alone, right? Find that community, find that support.
No one makes it alone, ever. We all need a community around us. And, even if eWomen Network isn't your community, like you just need a community.
Mm-hmm.
You need to belong to a community on those days that you just are questioning yourself, if you're in the right place, if you're doing the right thing, if you should keep going. The answer is yes. And sometimes you need to lean on others to mirror that back to you because it can be really heavy and hard to carry that load on your own.
And you're just living proof of when you have that, what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. Our community, there was like a mass when our community found out there were mass prayer groups that were happening through our community. It's amazing what they did when I was in the hospital. They really gathered together and came together to pray for me. And that was like, it makes me emotional because that's one of the things that I could have never expected. You show up to serve other people and you never know how they might show up for you in the times that you need them the most. And um, it's really a beautiful thing, the gift of, reciprocity and how uh, when you give first and you share always, how that comes back to you, and that's one of our core values in our company is giving first and sharing always. And they really gave back to me in turn, and I'm so grateful for it.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And if you want to see these videos, I mean, if you ever need perspective, you're getting up in your head about the problems or the stress of your life, like go to Briana Dai's Instagram, watch these videos because she looks like it's her last days on this planet and people are around you clearly praying, clearly worried. And then to watch this rise you don't have to be an entrepreneur to want to follow you and be inspired by you. And so would you tell everyone where to follow and find you to see these videos, to be inspired by your work and your story?
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, for me, Instagram is the place to be. I'm on Instagram, so I am Briana Dai is the handle. Uma Network is our company. I have it linked in mine, so if you follow me, you can find Uma Network really easily. But yeah, that's where we create all of our content for the most part. Where I
It's
love
so
to hang
good.
out.
It's so good.
Gold, baby. Speaking of gold, Briana, we leave our listeners with what we call 3 gold stars. So just 3 top takeaways. Anyone listening, what you want to leave them with today?
I want to first say that the only way you'll fail is if you quit. So never quit, and you'll never fail. I would say that you are here for a purpose, and it's your mission to figure out what that is and to live that out. And I would say that truly you can just do anything as long as you believe that you can. So just don't give up. It's really the underlying message for me that keeps popping up. So keep
love it.
going. Don't give up. Believe in yourself, and you can do anything.
It's so beautiful. And you're living proof of it. All right. And now 3 surprise questions that we're curious about. I will first of all need to say, we haven't even said this yet. Briana is pregnant with baby number 2, another miracle.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Miracles just keep coming.
Thank
And
you.
I want to talk about this because this is going to be different than the first time around. Obviously, you've done it before, but now you've had this life experience. So I'm curious how this pregnancy and you feel parenting this child will be different than the first experience that you've had with Tati.
Well, when I was pregnant with Tati, it was during the pandemic. So I think a lot of things will be different.
Yeah.
Because I was pregnant in the thick of 2020 and I had her in August. And so that whole paranoia of all of the unknowns of that was the first time pregnancy. Totally different. I think this time around, man, I really haven't like digested how different it's gonna be. Um, and it's still so early. I feel like it'll almost illuminate how it's different once it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's hard to even pinpoint how I'm gonna be a different mom now. But the thing that I think consumes me the most is just making sure that Tati still feels loved because she is such a princess. We're working on the sharing. It's hard, trying to get her to go to sleep on her own because she's used to snuggling with us every night. We're like, we got to break this before baby number 2 comes because this is not going to work, so we're trying that. It's hard. So I think with more than anything, it's not so much my experience that I think is going to shape how I approach baby number 2. It's definitely, I feel I have noticed I'm definitely wanting to be healthier with this baby. Like when I had Tati, I was like practically acting disabled. Like I can't work out. I'm sorry, I'm pregnant, and I'm just gonna eat all the banana bread because it's a pandemic. So I'm definitely wanting to be just healthier this time for my own brain health, but also for this baby's health. And so I hope that that's something that I continue even post pregnancy. And yeah, that's an interesting question,
Yeah.
Andrea. I'm gonna have to like really
Well,
digest
now
that
see,
and think
just
about
okay. Just my intuition is like having gone through this a few times is sometimes it's different and you want to be healthier with one gender versus the other. And so
that.
with my
Oh,
first being a girl, I ate mac and cheese, didn't work out and felt like I didn't want to do anything either. And then with my son, I was doing squats and running and eating salad. So I think it might be a boy. I might be changing my mind. I think it might be a boy. Maybe that's
Oh
why
my
it feels different. Who knows?
maybe,
We'll have to
maybe
see.
that would be the dream. We'll see. I'll be happy either way, but one of each is definitely like the American dream. We'll be done. We'll be happy. It'll
Yeah.
be great.
And
So we'll
Brianna's
see.
wearing blue today. I don't know. There's just some signs around. Let's ask Grammy. Grammy?
Grammy, send us a sign.
Yes.
Yes.
Should
We'll
she
find
see a
out.
blue jay today?
Ooh.
If you see a blue jay, maybe it's boy.
Ooh.
Okay.
Or cardinal is girl.
I'll keep
The
my eyes
next
out.
one that you see,
Okay.
you got to tell us.
Oh my God, keep us posted. I love this.
Got it.
Okay. My question, knowing how goal driven you are, you have that drive, that inner fire. I want to know the next goal. What is keeping you going right now? What are you after right now, other than having another healthy baby?
Yeah. I'm really after growing our CEO Plus membership. I just think that it is the most valuable place to be on the internet every Monday morning. And I would love to see that community grow to 5,000 members. So I'm really pouring my energy into growing that business, that program, because the community that's there, the knowledge that's shared, the transformations that have already happened, the testimonials that we already have. We have one man who said he literally doubled his revenue from one takeaway he got from one of the calls. Like, that's the kind of transformation that we need to be able to accomplish our mission to help 1 million women make 1 million in annual revenue. So that's that's where I know we can make the most impact with the lowest barrier of entry. It's $97 a month versus like high ticket coaching programs. So I feel like we can make such a difference if we can just grow that. And that's really, for me professionally, my number one focus in this business.
So men can join.
Oh yeah, we call them emails.
Emails? I love that.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing because your dad's a part of this community too, right?
Yeah, my dad's very much active. He's the CMO. My mom is the CEO, and I'm the VP. So the three of us together, our community has kind of coined us as the trifecta because we each have our own kind of area of expertise that we train and we speak from. But he's brilliant at marketing. He came from the advertising world. He owned an advertising agency. He's an gold album award winning songwriter. So he's copywriting, messaging is just his like that's his thing. So
I'm throwing in a bonus question. This is a bonus question because I want you to keep going on this because you are clearly your own force. You don't need your parents for your success, Briana Dai. You are going to be successful without them. But they each have huge stories. I remember seeing an article about your dad, like the first African-American something in a newspaper. Like, can you talk about your parents and kind of like how they've kind of been in the light as you grew up?
Yeah. So I'm gonna blank on what that newspaper, but there is a newspaper, and he's the first African American something or other. I think he was the first African American like advertising agency to hit a certain goal. I don't even know, but my dad came from the music world, so he in the 70s he was a drummer and a songwriter for a band called Sun. Some people might know it. If you go on YouTube and you look up Sun's top hits, you'll find like the sunshine, not sun, like the sun that's hopefully growing my honey. Like sunshine. Amazing artist and musician. They were on Soul Train. And like I said, he got a gold album for one of the songs that he wrote. So he's a singer, a drummer, a songwriter, and ultimately went the advertising route, had a very decorated and award-winning advertising agency. My mom, she was the daughter of a Mexican immigrant and was a widow at a young age and grew up with very close to my Grammy. She had two brothers. One of them died when she was 27 in a car wreck. And she just had to come over a lot of adversity. She put herself through school. She ended up getting her master's in business psychology from the Gestalt Institute. And so she's just brilliant and knows so much about systems and processes. And she's just from a CEO level, a brilliant systems and process person. And then my dad is the super creative. And then I'm the team kind of calls me like the hybrid. I'm a little bit of both of them. And growing up in the digital world and growing my first businesses through social media, I bring the digital aspect to it. So the three of us together really make a beautiful
And
blend.
we just scratched the surface.
Oh my
you
gosh.
used to be in music videos as a dancer. You were a makeup artist. Like the history, we could have a whole nother episode just on the history of your life and all the hats you've worn. And so
The evolution
seriously,
of Briana Dai. I love it.
Such a great follow. I'm telling you, the stuff she's got dance moves. She's just the personality. stuff with friends, family, husband. God, you're just, it's so good. It's so good.
Thank you.
We're so glad
I
you're here.
appreciate it. I love you both. You're
we love
amazing.
you.
Thank you for having me here.
Last question, Brie. If you could go back and tell younger Brie one thing, what age would you choose and what would you tell her?
Oof. I'd probably go back to the 7th grade Briana, and I'd tell her that not everybody is against you, so stop acting like it. And that you're beautiful. Own it. Own that you're different. Own that you have different hair. Own that you have curves that other girls don't have. Like, stop trying to be like everybody else and just own your own unique beauty, because I battled with that most of my life. And it all started in those early kind of puberty years, those awkward years, is when that insecurity started and stuck with me. So if I could go back and tell her to cut that shit out, I can only imagine, how different my life would have been and how I approached the world. So.
Wow. Well, we love how you approach the world now. We are so grateful. Honestly, what a miracle to have you here today. We've been waiting for this day. We were hoping you would say yes. This is Brianna's first time talking about this on a podcast. Today is such a big deal. We are so grateful for your Grammy, for the EMTs, for all the nurses and doctors and therapists and your family. I'm just want to send everybody gratitude because you're such a gift and you are so meant to be here. And we're so happy to share your story and that you trusted us to share it. So thank you so much.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for having me here. This was really special.
Brie, we leave our listeners with a piece of gold, a quote that speaks to you. Would you please send us off with one of your quotes?
I'm going to quote the Bible. I'm just going to say, to whom much is given, much is required.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.
Oh, I love that you finished with the Bible.
I wish I could hug you.
I know. Thank you for sharing that. What an intimate, personal experience. And we don't take it lightly that you shared it with us. It means so much. And it's going to mean so much to our listeners, and they're going to share it. And you don't even know what this time is going to do. 96 countries tune in at this point, and I'm so excited they all get to hear your story. Yeah. It's really powerful.
Well, I'm honored.